Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. We just got to the March 2025 Star Citizen Monthly Report, and today we are going to read through this, discuss whatever's new that we're seeing in the monthly report. I'm really hoping we get a ship section this report, because we have not had one for a couple of months now and it's been agonizing. So really hoping we get some ship news. So let's go ahead and let's get into reading through the latest monthly report. So we start with a picture of the Wicklow Emporium. That was a big thing that was added as part of 4.1. Let's go ahead and get into it. This month's PU report features progress on a variety of ongoing development initiatives, including the recently released Alpha 4.1, upcoming vehicles. Okay, so it looks like we are going to get a ship section, AI work, and mission content. Read on for the latest updates. Let's go. AI content. For the recent debut of Star Citizen's first alien NPC, Wicklow, AI content worked alongside the narrative design, animation, audio, and character art teams to prototype the character's general and air traffic control behaviors. The team also took a more active role in prepping incoming audio and animation files from recent capture sessions. Development continued on new behaviors to support some of the story developments happening in the verse in the coming months. Finally, for AI, they revisited issues in the population behaviors of existing landing zones. So I know that there was, Jared had a performance capture session that he did. They had an ISC episode about that a few weeks ago, that he's going to be voicing a news character coming up in, I would guess, probably the Invictus patch, because what they showed in that ISC, it sounded like he was talking about Invictus-related stuff. So it sounds like they're just working on that sort of thing. So not like a ton from AI content, but Wicklow seems to be pretty cool. I know some people have managed to find the actual NPC puppet somewhere and glitch in and kill it, which is really weird. But Wicklow's cool. So if you haven't gone to see his Emporium little thingy, make sure to go check that out. Let's move on to AI features. Oh boy, this is a big section. Okay. In March, AI features priority was the Valacar, specifically the juvenile variant. As part of the polishing phase, new functionality was added to support upcoming gameplay, including replacing ineffective melee attacks with a submerge and relocate behavior when the player gets close. New burrowing modes were also added that allowed the creature to submerge on the spot rather than dive into a new position. New firing modes were added to give better control over fire rate and damage per shot, depending on whether the target is on the ground or the air. Bespoke firing animation variants were also added when firing at more vertical angles. The team also iterated on the Copian, integrating a new chase technology for more effective attacks, including a leap. For human combat, iteration continued on the first reaction flow escalation, specifically focusing on the animation setup for usables so that it works well if the AI is sitting in a chair, leaning on a railing, or crouching to inspect a maintenance panel. The team also progressed with reaction animations for when the AI detects compromised cover. This allows NPCs to appear more responsive to the actions of the player and react appropriately to new threats. Similarly, the team is refactoring the response to combat tactic events, such as needing to reload. This is now done within the tactic behavior itself, rather than at a higher level, which allows more customization depending on the current situation, leading to better and more responsive behaviors. And I have to say, I've noticed, especially playing a lot of the Hathor event, the NPCs are surprisingly more tactical. Like, they're really good at getting back to cover and like peeking around cover and like all sorts of things. And I have gotten killed several times by NPCs. Now, a lot of the time it's in the central radar tower building, but it's like they're crazy. They're actually pretty difficult now in some cases, especially if there's a lot of them and there's only like one or two of you. It's quite difficult. The Valacar, they're more, I would say they're more annoying than anything. I haven't gotten killed by them, just their little spitball that does like 2 or 3% damage is kind of annoying. And I feel like they have maybe a little bit much health, because it just takes like almost a full magazine from like a Karna to take one down. So I feel like those might be a little bit heavy on health. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, I've noticed a lot of really good improvements to AI recently, so hoping they can keep iterating on it and keep making it better. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, next we have AI Game Intelligence Development Team. This one usually is a little bit more technical, so I'll probably skim through this a little bit more. I probably won't talk about this a ton. We'll see though. In March, Game Intelligence Development had two main focuses: the full implementation of views and organization and analysis for Mission System 2.0. For views, feature-related tasks are now functional in StarScript, including representation in the script graph. The team also included the new input and output visuals, which makes them more distinctive, while information on the task number was added. An update was also made to the master graph to integrate views into the various functional connected states. This is still a work in progress, with internal testing beginning soon. For the mission system, the devs continue to explore ways to build a system that will be more efficient and simpler for the game designers to use. I mean, if they can do that, that'll be nice. Make it easier for the game designers to make the missions. That'll, in some way, shape, or form, make it easier on us. So hopefully there's some good improvements there. Next, let's take a look at AI Tech. Last month, AI Tech continued to work on features that will improve overall detail and quality, including finalizing work for the Spatial Priority Solver and Priority Beacon system. They also integrated these features into the navigation, pathfinder, and tactical point systems to help better prioritize and solve requests sent by NPCs to close to players. Regarding tools, work was completed on StarScript views to allow the designers to group behavior functions and callback logic. Following this, work began on visualization improvements for the Subsumption master graph. Additional adjustments were made to the AI ship logic to enable it to work correctly with the new flight modes. The team is currently working on NPC cover generation, optimizing places where cover will be generated, allowing it to be marked with various flags for better context during combat scenarios. For the navigation system, the devs fixed various bugs, including issues with tile triangularization, generation cases, and an object container export case related to navigation data. They're currently progressing with improvements to 3D navigation for spaceships and NPCs in EVA. I remember we heard about the EVA part. I think that was last month's, or maybe the month before, report, so maybe at some point, I don't know if this will be coming super soon, but maybe at some point this year we'll be getting some missions where you have to go fight NPCs on foot, quote unquote, but it's in space, it's an EVA, so that'll be interesting. That could make for some interesting missions, so we'll have to see on that. Let's go on to animation. Okay, we got animation and art and characters here. They're both pretty short sections. Animation. The animation team continued developing various sizes of Valacar. So we have the juveniles, so that means they're working on the adults and the apex, alongside making updates to the Copian. They also updated AI background animations and added disabled animations to the Argo Atlas. We have seen that. There's new damage states for it. New AI facial animation content was completed too, including for the Banu mission giver Wicklow. Art characters. In March, the character art team continued to work on a new creature for the PU alongside Starware Art Det. They also kicked off new heavy armor and continued creating various rewards. The concept art team also explored ideas for new in-game rewards and armors. Okay. So we have some new creature that's not named, so I have no idea what one it would be. I know that there's like a ton of different ones. So we'll have to see on that, maybe if we get some other new creature at some point this year. But yeah, not too much there. They're working on some armors, making more stuff for us for some rewards, and I'm sure we'll see some more of that later in the year. Let's move on to ship art. Okay, we have a big ship section, so let's get into it. Art ships. In March, the UK-based vehicle content team completed the Drake Golem mining ship and Argo Atlas Geo mining power suit. The Misk Starlancer TAC moved into the final development phase, while the consolidated Outland Pioneer progressed through Whitebox, benefiting from the additional concept work shown during a recent episode of Star Citizen Live. An unannounced vehicle successfully passed Greybox review and moved into the LOD 0 phase. 2 other vehicles received a bug-fixing pass, and final content work ahead of their release, and another new ship is currently being prepared for its Greybox Gate review. The NA-based team progressed with 2 upcoming RSI ships. For the first, the Apollo, successfully passed its Whitebox review gate and moved into Greybox with support from the concept team on the medical room design. Some aspects progressed significantly due to utilization of the extensive RSI kit created for the Zeus and Polaris. The second, the RSI Perseus, passed its white box review at the start of March. Like the Apollo, some areas progressed visually thanks to the RSI kit. Work continued on 3 unannounced vehicles too. A variant of a popular ship passed gray box review. Another variant is approaching gray box review, while an all-new model entered production in preparation for its white box review in early April. Okay, well, so that is a lot of updates. Let's go through it. So we have the Golem, we have the Geo, those are new in 4.1. So it sounds like the Starlancer TAC is basically done. So I think we can be assured that we are 100% getting the Starlancer TAC at Invictus. The Pioneer's going through white box. Again, we're not going to see that anytime soon. It's going to be next year at the earliest sometime. Like, I'm going to say IAE 2026 is the earliest we would see the Pioneer. It's going to be a while. Unannounced vehicle successfully passed a gray box review, and it's in the LOD 0 phase, so it's winding down. So that may be another potential one that's... We still have about a month and a half before Invictus or so, so that may be one that finishes up in April, and then we get it at Invictus. No idea what that's going to be. 2 other vehicles received a bug fixing pass and final content work ahead of their release. So it sounds like there's 2... Those 2 sound like they're basically done. So, no idea what those are. So it sounds like we have the Starlancer TAC and possibly those 2 more that are just about ready, and possibly a 4th that's just about ready. So maybe we get 4 or so new things at Invictus. I don't know. There's another, and then there's that other new ship being prepared for Gray Box Gate review. So I assume that's just towards, I'm guessing that's, you know, the end of Gray Box going into LOD 0. And so then we have, so the Apollo and the Perseus, they're being worked on by the NA base team. So I think that would be the Montreal ship team, I think, mostly. So it sounds like both the Apollo and the Perseus have passed their white box review. As of, at least from the Perseus, it says at the start of March, it passed white box. So that means the Perseus should now be in gray box. I would assume the Apollo is now too, since it also passed white box. Now with that is going to significantly change my prediction for when those ships are coming out, because I don't think they're going to go through gray box, LOD 0, final art, all of that in like a month and, you know, like well, I guess if you go from March to May, that's still only like 2 months, 2.5 months or so until Invictus. So I think that's probably going to put it that we probably won't see the Apollo or the Perseus at Invictus, and I think that pushes it much more likely to be at CitizenCon or IAE. What's interesting here is I didn't notice there was no at least name mention of the Ironclad. Now, it could be one of the unannounced... Well, no... Well, it's not the unannounced vehicle, but it could be one of the other 2 vehicles that have received a bug fixing pass and final content work ahead of their release. The Ironclad could be coming at Invictus. It's very possible, based on this update to the ships. Very possible we see the Ironclad at Invictus. And then the last section again, there's work going on for another 3 unannounced ships. Variant of a popular ship past gray box review. I don't know. A popular ship. There's not another Hornet, please. Like, we have so many of them. I don't know what it would be. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a Cutlass Pink. Who knows? Another variant is approaching gray box, and an all-new model entered production in preparation for its white box review in early April. So, oh my gosh, there's so many ships that are being worked on right now. So we got, let's try, I'm going to try and count real quick. So we got Starlancer TAC, the Pioneer, the Apollo, the Perseus. There's the unannounced vehicle, the other 2 vehicles that are getting a polish pass, another ship that's being worked on gray box, and then 3 more. So that's 11. We have a variant of a popular ship, 12, another variant, 13, and an all-new model, 14. So that's at least 14 ships that are, and like ships or ground vehicles that are currently being worked on. That is a crap ton of stuff. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. at Invictus. I think, again, I don't think we're going to get the Perseus based off of this report at Invictus. I think it'll probably be CitizenCon or IAE. So we'll have to see what further updates we get. But this is a very nice update for the ships. I'm glad. I think this makes up a lot for the lack of an update the last couple of months. So with that, let's go ahead and let's check out some of the other sections. Okay, next we have the community section. Usually there's not much here. Basically there was still a Fortuna, a couple contests, things like that. Not much there. Let's go and see what else we got. Core gameplay. Oh boy, big long section. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, for the Argo Atlas Geo, the core gameplay team completed the suit's mining and thruster functionality, added a health bar and damage states, and supported additional improvements to the base Atlas. We've seen that in 4.1. So it's got the health, got the thrusters, and all that sort of stuff. They also implemented the first version of the weapon overheat mechanic to the Volt Parallax Energy Rifle, which enables the player to engage a secondary fire mode at the risk of overheating. More weapons will gain the overheat mechanic in the future, so I'd guess that'd be things like some of the other energy-based weapons, maybe like the Karna, like the Gallant Rifle, I think, is an energy weapon, so things like that may have an overheat mode at some point. It does work very well, though, especially if you're on a cold planet or moon. You can shoot for a long time without it overheating. So, it's very nice. Oh, big thing here. Okay, progress was made on engineering gameplay throughout March, with core gameplay supporting various teams with resource network issues and bugs. They also added auto-throttling, which reverts to a lower or powered-off state if an item doesn't have power during an update. Okay, so engineering is still getting worked on. Changes were made to vehicle coolant. Now, effectiveness is based on an item's physical properties, with a specific amount of coolant counteracting heating caused by an equal amount of power. Coolant consumption uses deltas with a dynamic override. The maximum coolant request is based on the maximum power consumption multiplied by a resource network global parameter. Okay, I don't fully understand that after reading that immediately, but basically it sounds like how coolers function and how they actually will provide coolant, like a coolant resource, is being changed to some degree. We'll have to see how that takes shape in the future. The team also made progress towards implementing heat gameplay for ship thrusters. This involved adding filters to the engineering UI to allow players to only see items of a particular category. For example, all weapons or all items with malfunctions. Selection improvements were also added to the UI. Now, left-click will cycle through the two closest items useful for doors covering components, and right-click will show all overlapping items and allow selection. Work was also completed towards item recovery tier 0, with various items being added to blacklists alongside fixes for related respawn flow issues. Progress was made on FPS radar and scanning. Now, item components can be detected within vehicles while a player is inside and excluded when outside. The feature's debug tools were improved too. Okay, so that's coming along. I had seen some videos that you could kind of like, with the new Antium helmets, because that's the same style of the armor that's supposed to be the tracker armor from CitizenCon that has supposed to have really good scanning capabilities. It doesn't like technically work, but there's some weird way you can like glitch it and it will like kind of show you some random little marker things. I think it's honestly probably just a bug, but according to this, it's being worked on, so we might see that this year, who knows. The ongoing transit system rework, known as the transport system, progressed throughout March, with the team adding setup validation and debugging for non-physicalized carriages to better detect setup issues. The ability to connect carriage zones by a transport network needed for minimap routing was added, as were destination categories and priorities, along with the means to display destinations on carriage panels. A reward mechanic for collection missions was implemented, which is used for the collector missions, while the ability to automatically retrieve items from freight or ship elevators via HUD notification was added. For the mission system, the team fixed a bug preventing introductory contracts not counting toward difficulty progression. Sharing prerequisites was also implemented. This allows players to invite others to accept contracts they would otherwise be ineligible for, providing they meet a specific requirement, such as locality or reputation. Time was also spent fixing bugs and improving the robustness of the new player experience alongside solving issues causing various missions to be disabled. Comms notifications progressed too, including one-way comms calls from mission givers to the players, and comms notifications being triggered by changing mission states, such as completed or failed. Okay. The mission designers can now trigger comms notifications from mission logic. They also began implementing 3D building blocks to display more interesting scenes, as the previous method was no longer supported by server meshing. Finally, for core gameplay, improvements were made to commodity kiosks to give a better flow to transactions, while fixes were made to bugs relating to hangars, freight elevators, and ship deliveries. That is a big core gameplay section. So basically, engineering still being worked on. There's some iterations to the cooling system. FPS scanning and radar is coming along. They've added some new mechanics for rewards for missions for the collector missions with Wicklow. That's the I think the bigger things that are part of this. There's like, again, tons of different things. The transit refactor and all that sort of stuff is hopefully coming along. Hopefully we'll get that in the next couple of months and have a little bit more stable transportation system. So very interesting core gameplay section. Next, let's check out the economy section. Okay, economy. The economy team provided balancing support for supply or die, with the devs deeming it overtuned on release. Economy worked with mission design to address the issues as quickly as possible without imposing hard limits. Going forward, both teams will collaborate more closely to establish a stable and holistic approach to balancing open-ended missions with multiple viable solutions. Our aim is always to maximize player choices and enable emergent gameplay, but balance against exploitable patterns. Economy team. Okay, not too much there. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. Last month, the graphics team overhauled GPU memory management. This allowed them to add new options, a visualization of the GPU memory required for each, and auto detection for suitable resolution, upscaling, and graphics. Gas clouds received a major visual upgrade thanks to the same density shaping and shading technology used by planetary clouds. Global illumination was upgraded too, with improvements to the image stability and accuracy of both diffuse and specular reflections. Planet Tech V5 continued to make good progress, with the team finalizing the distribution and shading of much denser rock formations with more physically plausible placement. The virtual terrain system is also closer to completion, with runtime compression being worked on next. The VFX programming team polished several features such as fire, network bandwidth for damage maps, and creatures. Vulkan stability was also improved after discussions with NVIDIA led to the diagnosis of two potential issues, one in the driver and one in the game. Workarounds to both were added to the latest PTU patch. So, there's still, I have noticed the new clouds on like Aberdeen, for some reason they do look even better than the clouds on like Hurston or Microtech. I think just because on kind of the edges of them, they have a lot less noise. They're a lot less fuzzy, or I don't know what you call it, noisy, I guess. They do look really, really nice. So I'm hoping they can make those updates as well to the other clouds, so that we stop having the noisy, grainy effect. I think that'll help it a lot. Yeah, that's not too much there in that section, but some good work being done. I'm sure there's a lot of good things that are coming down the road for that. Let's go ahead and let's go to mission design. For mission design, March saw mission design continuing to fix up various older missions that were deprioritized in the refactor. Alpha 4.1 was unveiled to the community on the PTU, introducing a new sandbox activity that players can engage in for unique items. There is a big push for increased production value on missions, with a lot of departments helping out to ensure the experience is the best we can get. The team also worked on Rayari and Wicklow, the two new mission givers who require items found during the new missions. Okay, narrative. Aligning with the increased release schedule cadence, Alpha 4.1 was a major focus for the narrative team in March. For the new Hathor orbital mining facilities, this included adding discoverable data pads around the site, polishing numerous missions that utilize the new locations, and working with art to improve directional signage. The patch release also brings the major milestone of Star Citizen's first alien NPC, the Banu trader Wicklow. We had a lot of fun creating the character and making the Emporium a place players would enjoy exploring. Narrative also ran a capture session that focused on adding dialogue to several upcoming missions, as well as introducing two new faction representatives who players will work with during specific contracts. Okay, so maybe some more sort of NPCs coming in, some future update. That's nice. Additionally, the team helped to refactor some older missions with updated contracts. There was also ongoing work with design to refine some of the locations coming this year to ensure they will provide a rich narrative experience. So we're going to get more locations this year, of course. So there, and I know they updated. There's a few more contracts that we didn't have in 4.0.2 that now we have back in 4.1. I still know there's some more that we don't have. So we'll have to see if we get those back in a future patch. So still chugging along with that, and let's go ahead and let's look at online technology. In March, the Live Tools team focused on improving the usability of their main support tool, Hex. The online services team worked on the first pass of the services ecosystem to support upcoming development by the gameplay teams. Various social improvements were made, including optimizations to kicking members from groups, the create group flow, and the rollback strategy for the add members flow. They also added metrics to identify the origins of ScyllaDB queries, request logging options, and configurations to specify the maximum number of concurrent requests. For analytics, the configurations were added for HTTP clients, and to enable Kafka connections for missions, entities were removed from the shard tag, while the mission system was updated too. So this middle paragraph here sounds like maybe some potential slight changes to like the party system, like a little bit, maybe some little bit more, because this doesn't sound like the full like org tools and all that sort of thing that they showed at CitizenCon, but maybe there's some little additions they can make, at least for the time being, that would improve some stuff for managing parties and things like that. So we'll have to see what comes of that. Let's see on next, research and development. In March, gas cloud detail rendering was improved using techniques used by planetary volumetric clouds. Now, the artist can refine the density provided by the original gas cloud volume database via procedural noise using runtime shaping and erosion calculations. Moreover, edge albedo can be controlled to further emphasize the cloud's volumetric structure. Additionally, a configurable gradient was added to control the blend between the original and shape density. This allows the team to keep the density of the original VDB data in thin areas of clouds while adding more detail to denser areas. For dynamic weather, so dynamic weather still getting work, the rain volume calculation was improved to ease content authoring. The vertical distribution along the local height of lightning events was also refined. Furthermore, the volumetric rendering of lightning was enhanced by providing more flexibility in controlling the lightning gradient. Okay, so some good cloud stuff going on and weather stuff going on for research and development. Hopefully we get to see that pretty soon. All right, now on to the last couple little sections here. We have Tech Design. Tech Design spent March working on an upcoming in-game event supporting mission design with gameplay entity and logic flow setup. So that could be, something around Invictus, or something after that. Who knows? We'll have to see. And finally, VFX. VFX progressed with their tasks for the Valacar. They also supported the locations team with effects for Alpha 4.1's new mission locations, including the orbital laser platform, borehole, cave, and satellite dish. So there we go. There is the March monthly report for Star Citizen. This was a big one. I think some really big updates. I think the biggest is by far is going to be the ship section. Really, really good updates on the ships. I think it's good that they let us know that, hey, the Apollo and the Perseus, they passed their white box, but they're in gray box. I think it'll help temper the expectations that we're getting it at Invictus. Again, I thought before there was a decent chance we'd get it then, but now with that, I think we're going to get both of those again at IAE or CitizenCon, somewhere around there. Now that makes me also think, because I didn't see the Ironclad mentioned by name, but there was a couple of the vehicles that they talked about that potentially could be the Ironclad, so it's very possible we will see the Ironclad coming at Invictus. So I think we got the Ironclad, Starlancer TAC. There's probably, a fighter variant of some sort, maybe that variant thing. There's probably some ground vehicle. Maybe there's something else. I don't know. But sounds like there's going to be a plethora of new vehicles and ships to feast your eyes on once Invictus comes around in about a month and a half. So we'll have to see how that ends up shaping out. Good to see all the other gameplay updates, engineering coming along, scanning, all that sort of stuff. And we'll just have to see what we get next with 4.1.1. maybe some more missions, some more interesting content in that sort of way. So we'll just have to see. If you enjoyed this little read through of the monthly report, feel free to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel. All of you are amazing. I appreciate every single one of you for supporting me, and I just hope that I can keep making really good videos for you. Let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on the monthly report? What are your thoughts on the ship section, any other sections, anything that you think that I may have missed, or something that I maybe didn't mention that you thought of? Let me know down below. And until next time, I will see you in the verse.